Chilly here with Sirius Talis Moon, and we are with the new moon in Scorpio, Venus hour, Jupiter day, and I'm going to upload my very first study with me live on basically holistic dentistry, and of course this is for how should I say that? It's for entertainment purposes. Okay, I'm not your doctor. I'm not a dentist. I'm studying that with you live, so this is not me giving anybody any medical advice. Okay, just it's also like I'm a holistic health practitioner, but it's also something that like I haven't made any expertise in like teeth or teeth issues. Maybe after this transit, I would have the credentials to talk about that. But right now, I'm thinking with you also when I'm presenting my knowledge as holistic health practitioner. I'm thinking with you. So this is basically more of a thought experiment and a study with me live. Not yes, not a diagnosis manual and or anything of that sort. Now, so holistic dentistry. Just some pictures for our video. And I have a little bit of an energy reading. This is kind of a dark theme. And this is somebody has been trying to prevent teeth health in order to try to enslave and traffic people that are in need of dentistry. This is incredibly dark. Okay, they have been trying to put someone in debt. They've been trying to enslave someone sexually. That's what I'm reading into that. Um, so so this is a very, very dark topic. Another thing that came about is there are countries like Liechtenstein that made their money of whatever trafficking laundered by a business of fake teeth. Okay. Again, dentistry is not a field I have any expertise in, so I really am studying with you. So somebody has been trying to prevent somebody to treat their teeth, and it has been a couple. It's an old issue that has been going on, which is of course a crime against humanity, but that was there was also abuse of the psychiatric system to try to cause tooth decay or prevent people from having healthy teeth. And here I'm not sure if it's just like a side effect of corruption or a part of the corruption. just something really dark. Okay. Um, and and there has been an attempt to project um, the effects of doing those things onto, okay, onto a certain person. I'm going to continue with the teeth study. So I am with um, tooth 11, which is to the left of the upper jaw and has to do with the gallbladder and liver, heart, left bile ducts, left liver, posterior lobe of the pituitary gland, hip, posterior knee, foot, anger, depression, dysphasic states, dysphasic, eye disease, fear, a, lang- a language disorder that affects the ability to communicate due to brain damage. Um, whoa. Can cause difficulty with understanding language, reading and writing. Can be caused by a stroke or head injuries, brain tumors, or other neurological issues. I don't know if this particular one can also appear with a sexual boundary violation, word confusion, traumatic brain injury, brain tumor, infection, seizures, and mini strokes. Okay. Because trauma causes brain damage, but that is still infraction, thrombosis, instability, lack of concentration, ADHD here. Thrombosis is the formation of a blood clot within a blood vessel, which can block the flow of blood and be a serious medical condition. Um, infraction donor, kidney problems, lack of concentration, moodiness, prothrombin, sadness, stagnation, steering. Okay. Protein made by the liver that is essential for blood clotting. Okay, here's the thing. The wisdom teeth, the 17, the left one is ruling the liver as well. And then as we proceed on with in the lower jaw, when the liver is not functioning well, okay, that causes, of course, that affects the heart. But basically, it means that it's going to harm our minerals and absorption of minerals. And this one can have an effect on a protein that can cause blood clotting. Sadness, stagnation, steering, stenocardia. What is stenocardia? Chest pain or pressure caused by reduced blood flow to the heart muscle, usually due to narrow coronary arteries. Okay, so this is where even the buildup of plaque can cause narrowed coronary arteries. Okay, the blood vessels to the heart. Okay, and that can cause heart issues. Realistically speaking, I'm probably dealing with various stages of that because I never really had consistent access to clear distilled water. Um, um, and and the water is usually fluoridated even when we have like mineral water. Yes, living in a developed country. Okay, I'm not living in a third world country, but that's when people don't have the ability to have, distilled water or water filtration. And I don't even know if the water filtration is suffice because it has to be without fluoride and without a lot of things that most of them we probably don't even know. Um, then we go to the opposite one. That would be at the top jaw, canine. Okay, about the same organs. Posterior lobe of pituitary gland, again pituitary gland. Anger, angina pectoris, blood density, blood metabolism. Okay, blood diseases. Cardiac edema, depression, dysphasic state, fear flow rate, infection and thrombosis, instability, kidney function, lack of concentration, moodiness, prothrombine, steering, sadness, stagnation, stenocardia. Um, so that is, again, foot, posterior knee, and hip. It's kind of a Saturn-Jupiter combination with the joints, from what I see. Gallbladder, liver. Gallbladder, I think, can be associated with intergenerational issues. Um, okay, continuing on to the lower jaw. 20, which is the fourth teeth from the left. And here we get to the stomach. So breast, spleen, stomach, thyroids, sinuses. We have the spinal cord segments. We would need to work with the spine, um, diagram for that. Anterior knee, foot, hips, mandibular joint. Okay, so this is, it's basically the jaw. Okay, the bones of the jaw. Colganic lateral arthritis, hip to knee arthritis, noticeable at cruciate ligaments, dynamics, foot joints, hips, knees, lymph vessels, linguinal hernia, mammary glands, mammary gland. Oh, the breast glands. It's basically the heart chakras above the breasts. Then the lymph nodes, the milk producing glands. Peristalsis, mobility in small and large intestine. By the way, for those of you who have outer planets associated with Saturn, right now we have Pluto associated with Saturn. Some of the way, or Pluto, okay, or in some way, Saturn being connected to an outer planet. So for me, for example, I have Neptune in Saturn sign. It is my Neptune square. And it has been ongoing, and I have Uranus associated by the merit of Jupiter, and then Pluto co-present with Saturn in Scorpio. So it was all the way from the Saturn square Uranus, the Saturn in my 12th house, Saturn square Uranus, my Saturn maturation? No, that would be before the maturation. That would be the magister degree. Okay, so magister degree. And now my Neptune square are all associated with Saturn, and the topic of teeth appears very loudly. And for those of you that it is associated with the outer planets, first of all, don't be alarmed if it takes to the outer planet cycles to tend to your teeth, okay? Because there's certain things that you need to know regarding that. Okay, there's certain, for some of you, you may have the dharma or the karma or both to study about dentistry, holistic dentistry. Although Saturn usually denotes as certified something, but some of you might revolutionize dentistry or okay, I know that I have been I've been surrounded by people around 7th of October, by the way. Bless you. My mom sneezed. That's true. Method of divination. My mom sneezing. Um, and so, and the topic of tea just kept coming up and kept coming up. But don't be alarmed if it takes to the outer planets. And tending to this topic, raising awareness to issues to do with teeth, tending to this topic might be a part of that healing journey. Okay? For example, the fact that there are people that try to prevent teeth treatment from people, to try to enslave them in debt, and then try to traffic them by debt on the medical bill of teeth. Okay? Speaking about it is vital for the people that because Saturn also rules ritual. Saturn in the ninth could mean that that's important thing to talk about. Saturn in the eighth, even the 12th, that is very protective. Neptune with Saturn would mean that one would have miraculous healing regarding the topic, and also there can be loss and grief associated with the teeth issue. Okay, Saturn in itself can mean grief, but so that's another thing that comes up. And again, I'm thinking with you. So thyroid, peristalsis, and motility in small and large intestine. Relationship to rhythmicity. Okay, so people have rhythmic problems, ventilation switch in, Diverticulitis. Fatters. What is Vatters? Vatters? Um, it looks like Fatters, no? Inflammation or infection in the small pouches that form in the wall of the large intestines. Okay, so intestine issues. Pancreas. Okay, the exact same teeth to the opposite side, to the right side. Breast, pancreas, pylorus, right stomach. Thyroid again. Foot, knee, anterior knee, hip, mandibular joint. Okay, the jaw joint, the jawbone. Communication. Lateral arthritis, colgenic lateral arthritis. It's nervous system. Acetylcholine. Okay. Prominent where cruciate ligaments inserts. Dynamic foot joint, knee. Linguinal hernias. Linguinal. Lymph vessels, hips. Motility in the small and large intestines. Relationship to rhythmicity. So tongue. Okay. Linguinal, the groin area. Lower abdominal wall. And we're continuing on. 21. This is the fifth teeth from the wisdom teeth to the left. Breast, liver, spleen, pancreas, stomach, glands, gonads. Oh, okay. The primary reproductive organs that produce gametes, the eggs or the sperm, and sex hormones. Anterior knee, mandibular joint, communication, dysbiosis and dyspepsia, cell respiration, connective tissues diseases, enzymatics, fermentation, mammary glands, liver, stomach, pancreas, meteorism. Meteorism is very interesting. The position of the fourths is the key to the eight. Okay. Swelling or distension of the abdomen caused by excess gas in the gastrointestinal tract. That's farting? It's the swelling of the abdomen that is leading to farting. Um, um, meteorism. What a dramatic name for it. And then we have, how is that the fourth? It's the fourth from the middle. That's the key to the eight, which is the wisdom teeth. So 21 and 22, the understanding what is their condition is the key to the eight, because the condition of the wisdom teeth can be caused by the condition of the teeth that are the fourth from the middle. And I know it's not exactly a middle because it's like two teeth in the middle, but the fourth from each. uh, Lada predicted right. Saturn in Aries was the teeth time, and it's about to ingress into Aries. So same organs, same sex glands or gonads, anterior knee, mandibular joint, cell respiration, connective tissue disease, dysbiosis and dyspepsia, enzymatics, fermentation, mammary glands, liver, stomach, pancreas, meteorism, pancreas, spleen, visible veins on the skin. Okay, the key position of all fourths, okay, down and up, is similar to the 8. Okay. Maybe it's about adjusting the teeth, but it's not how it's. Okay. Going back to 22. This is, if we go from the lower jaw, the two middle teeth, that would be the third from the left. Gallbladder and liver, bile ducts, left bile duct, liver, lungs, and pancreas. Okay, that's an interesting combination. Still sex hormones, connected with the eyes, posterior knee, hips, and foot, blood density and blood metabolism, connective tissue disease, infection, thrombosis, esophagus. This is also why it's important for those who can access it to go to a holistic dentist, because going to a dentist, while there are some things that conventional dentists can absolutely mention, like the risk to the heart, okay, diseases, or things that they know about, but that type of information, as you go even to the regular checkup with a holistic dentist, they can diagnose things in the entire body, and then that can lead to symptoms that the patient is familiar with, which can later lead to a deeper questioning of when did something start and so on and so forth, that we couldn't have otherwise connected or accessed. Okay, for example, you might not be aware of what is happening with your heart meridian, um, but that may lead to either in the teeth, or when did the problem in, I don't know, the wisdom tooth began, but it can also um, liver, lungs, pancreas, bile. There can also be a skin issue. Okay, and then knowing that something is connected with the skin issue, you can say, oh, well, yeah, I had eczema since so and so and so and so. And then we can say, okay, what happened in your life around that, which would be the onset of that. And then we might even, for those that are experienced in astrological medicine, it's not my expertise. I can't do, uh, I can incorporate that into a questionnaire when I do like holistic questioning for aromatherapy, but it's not my expertise, like as astrological doc. Like I'm not an astrological doctor, or anything of the equivalent. Um, but this is where we could look at the astrological transit that started that, and then we can also, just like I did with the sixth house, for example, before we want to treat our teeth, we want to look where Saturn is. Mercury could also be related. Um, a Rahu is associated with a Saturn, so Rahu maturation, for example, can be, uh, every person has a Rahu maturation, which means that every person around their beginning 40s are bringing something new, particularly if they have Chiron Rahu. Okay, I do have Chiron Rahu, which can explain the extent of time it takes. Okay, because I'm basically one of the people that with their Chiron Rahus were meant to reform, renovate, bring a new chapter into the dentistry, and therefore it's kind of like Saturn delaying the teeth treatment to get an actually correct teeth treatment, hopefully. Okay. Yes, I mean, with Neptune we have to surrender things, um, but that is um, but that is where there can be certain things that happen, and these people bring new data, new information that changes the way we look at dentistry. Um, mhm. Okay, for example, there has been, in recent decades, there has been this very prevalent art of coating teeth, and what is the long-term Saturn effect of that is something that we might be discovering. Okay, because that simply means that for people that coat their teeth, they can't see the actual situation of the teeth, which correlates with many other things that we could diagnose had they not went to coat their teeth. So, blood density, blood metabolism, connective tissue diseases, infection and thrombosis, esophagus, lungs, lung and leg thrombosis. That's the Pisces stuff. That's the Pisces Jupiter stuff. Esophagus, okay, this is basically what connects our, these connecting our kidneys to basically our throat, mouth and stomach. Yeah. Pancreas stagnation, varicose disorders, weak peripheral vessels. So when we have, okay, when the vessel, when the veins are popping out of our feet, okay, of our of our calves, that is and that can be people that are that had been standing long hours on their feet can have that as part of how my grandmother lost her feet. Weak peripheral vessels. So that is something that we could, if there is a problem with the 22nd teeth, which is the third from the left in the lower jaw, that can denote at those issues. Now, those issues are not easy to treat. Okay, blood clot. If I remember my grandmother's case, one sudden day, boom, and she had to do a 12-hour surgery. Nituach makafim, I don't know how to say that. It's usually done for the heart, but then she went through that in the feet because of a blood clot. Okay, so blood clot is something that you don't see it until your life is at risk because of it. And it's a one sudden thing, which is why, for example, those that have access to getting their teeth checked by the holistic dentist can have can increase their chances to pre-diagnose. And this is probably why I'm making these episodes, because that can, for those that have access to that type of medicine, that can save life, particularly if there is history of blood clots in the family. Okay. Yeah. And this is something that a regular dentist probably wouldn't be able to tell you. Okay, because the regular dentist would only notice if there is something with the blood flow in your jaw. The most he would see is like a heart risk disease, and they would think about the heart. They're probably not thinking about blood clotting, but rather more the blocking of the arteries because of plaque, okay? Because they think teeth, what can the teeth do to the body, rather than holistic perspective, how are the teeth? And this is a sedna from astrology. This sedna shows us how something is a link in a bigger system, and what is that place of that link in that system, very compatible with the meridian based medicine. And I bring back the term meridian based medicine, for those who remember it from Spirit of Matter, um, and how a holistic dentist can actually see the teeth as a marker, something gone wrong with that meridian. Here are the things that those meridians are associated with, and that's something you don't have to such a degree with a regular dentist. Okay, a regular dentist could tell you about the arteries and the heart, um, maybe the nervous system because of like fungal issues that usually affect the nervous system, but I probably wouldn't predict a conventional dentist to have that within their line of expertise. Even remineralizing, okay, they do know about uh, the mold underneath the teeth, okay, in the teeth canal, and that is very important. But they would usually tackle it by removing the teeth, okay, and then a person would need to address that more holistically. So 27 canine, tooth, gallbladder, liver, lungs, pancreas, still sex glands, eye, foot posterior knee, hips. Okay, pretty much the same thing as the previous. And then we go to the second teeth. If we have the middle two lower teeth, okay, the second from the left. Okay, the left, and then the right after her. It's actually the one after the left. It's not okay. Um, Bladder, left kidney, urogenital, urogenital. Okay, so this is basically our kidney to genitals, basically how we piss. Okay, epididymis, adrenals, epididymis. Oh, okay, so this is sex hormone for men, for male sex. Yeah. I got the let somebody was let down by me. So sex hormone for male sex. Okay, where the balls are. Okay, for people with balls, that might be frontal sinus, lower extremities, sinus, foot posterior knee, coccyx and sacrum, um, prostate, uterus, bladder, creative genetic world, erosions, hormone metabolism, myomatosis, connective tissue diseases, prostatitis, mental behavior, prostate adenoma, urogenital tract. So this is okay. Non-cancerous, benign fibroids. Benign or not, fibroids is not pleasant. Um, and yes, Um, Adrenal glands, frontal sinus, lower extremities. Okay, so talking about the same teeth, the second teeth to the left from the middle bottom teeth. Foot posterior knee, coccyx, sacrum, appendages, connective tissue diseases, connective tissue in abdomen, lymphatic defensive mechanisms and build ups, lymph and white cell counts, mesenchyme, testes, epididymis. And those are connected to the sinus. So they can be lymph related issues as well. 24. Okay, middle, bottom, left teeth. Same as previous for the organs, bladder meridian, epididymis. Okay, so this is um, sperm creation gland. Okay, adrenals, frontal sinus, lower extremities, foot posterior knee, coccyx and sacrum. Um, Same as previous, connected with mental behavior and the middle right teeth. Same organs, same as the previous. Going up. Again, we're working with holisticdentistry.com. This video is not monetized, so there's no money changes hands. This is for entertainment purpose. Okay, I don't even say educational because I am not certified to educate. Like on that, I'm studying live with you. So small intestine, I'm talking from the wisdom, not wisdom, the upper, kind of like the upper wisdom. To the left, 16. Glands, anterior lobe of pituitary glands, heart, left ileum, and jejunum. Yeah, intestines. Sensory, sinus, inner ear, musculature, upper and lower extremities, trunk, um, joints, toes, planetar, foot, sacroiliac joint, ulnar hand, elbow, shoulder. Aphonia after excessive talking? What is aphonia? Total loss of voice. Aphonia does not happen from excessive talking. Okay, it's inability to produce voice sound. I'm not gonna address that. This is gonna trigger a shit ton of people, but okay, speaking our truth not by force, not forcing ourselves to speak, and not forcing ourselves to shut up, and speaking our truth is imperative to the health of our voice, throat chakra. Um, okay, preventing anything in that throat chakra. Um, for singers, of course, it can be an issue around technique, and but I'm talking about speaking, not public speaking. Having to use our voice for a job can cause voice ailment. The very fact that we need to make money by speaking can cause ailment, and that would need to be addressed as um, brain spinal tumors, um, central nervous system, cerebral spasms, epilepsy, heartache, headache, heartache, yeah, headache, migraine, mind, psychovegetative state. So that can even be sleep paralysis or actually somebody going full-blown vegetative state. Motor and sensory disorders, myasthenia in legs, nervous breakdowns, nocturnal bronchialgia, peripheral and central defunctionalization, periarthritis, humerus, humerus scapularis, sciatica, tinnitus, vegetative dystonia, weather-induced hemicrania, weather sensitivity. Okay, and upper closest to wisdom teeth to the right, heart and duodenum. What do they call duodenum here? Ah, trisorion. Okay, it's processing the food before the stomach and mixing it with bile and all the nice stuff. Basically, it's about absorption of minerals. Anterior lobe of pituitary gland. Maxillary sinus, inner ear. This probably will have to do with people who have vertigo. Vertigo. Toes, plantar foot, sacroiliac joint, ulnar hand, elbow, shoulder. Aphonia after excessive talking. Um, by the way, and I do want to mention that outer planet right now, Pluto is Saturn ruled. Saturn, okay, outer planets to Saturn. In this rulership of Saturn can mean an entire generation is going through something that also manifests in the teeth. Now, people that have personal placements are their charts are personally connected to that, and that can be them or their family members. I know we have medical astrologers um, that tend to complain because they usually don't see the element of the person in their own chart, so they would see it around, and that can be quite difficult to diagnose. Um, but perhaps a holistic perspective can show it in the person's chart. Not to open that debate. Now, when people think about holistic medicine, they immediately think that somebody is going to blame them for their ailments. No. In fact, the streams of holistic medicine that blame people for their ailments, the ailment is basically trying to fix something in the body of the patient that was that's an accommodation to an environment or society that's not accommodating. Now here's the dual factor: we are all a part of the society, and we are all affected by society. So there's a dual sense to that. um, and this is getting a lot of trauma to people, particularly to the Epstein list of holistic medicine branch that that just says, oh, improve upon your beliefs and your health will be better. And again, I mean, yes, Louise Hay died from a heart attack in her sleep, and she was fairly old, and so that looks like, oh well, why not listen to that now? That's excellent, but it doesn't take into account many other factors. Um, Whether a person is night chart or day chart, okay? Jupiter is more social. How well placed is their Jupiter? Okay, well placed Jupiter can give us the ability to fix our medical issues by shifting our perspective, but it would make us healthy to begin with regarding to that issue, okay? Or it would aid in recovery um, by the merit of beliefs. And again, power of beliefs is very relevant. If you're like Gen Z and you have Pluto, Sag, and it's in your sixth house, then, and it would be, I think, Cancer ascendant, then yes, the power of belief can absolutely affect your physical health more than others. And then you have to see where's Jupiter. If it's in the 12th house, that would be referring to the mental health. But it can also mean standing in your power in the face of, let's say, Inquisition, which is absolutely an intergenerational issue that affects health. Okay. um, People are like, when is she going to get to the Holocaust? um, well, the Holocaust happened with Uranus going from Taurus to Gemini, Pluto going from Cancer to Leo, and Neptune in Libra. um, Saturn was going from Taurus to Gemini. And Saturn Gemini is a big teeth combination, although most of the teeth were already taken out at the Saturn Uranus Mars conjunction with Beta Persei. Beta Persei is dead bodies upon dead bodies, um, to do with sexual boundary violation and the related psychosis, ritual abuse, ritual rape, that came also from the Nazis. Okay, so that was. Why am I saying also? Because um, it wasn't just the Nazis that were practicing dark occult when it came to the Second World War, and that's important to understand. Um, Venus sign was the fate of women, and unfortunately, at that time the suffragists died and had their creative energy taken from them by ritual abuse, rape, and torture. And then we would have mass dead bodies upon dead bodies in the concentration camps and death camps, but also outside of them, and later in cities, as Uranus and Saturn would go into Gemini, as Uranus and Saturn will be in Gemini in 2030 with Ketu. So Saturn rules teeth. Mercury is associated with teeth. Uranus, Saturn, and Beta Persei. Unfortunately, there were atrocities regarding teeth being taken from the people at the entry to the concentration camps. Um, Of course, this has to do with women. I don't know what, maybe with forced marriage, child marriage, arranged marriage, because Saturn is also marriage, ring, trafficking rings of women. Um, all of this would be affecting the teeth of the lineages. Of course, nothing. It's not nothing justifies. Okay, that type of. How should I say that? Being cruel to a cruel person in those ways is perpetuating. Okay, so just to make that perfectly clear, um, but definitely that was Saturn Uranus in Venus sign, which is women, and then but also LGBTQ because Uranus, and then Mercury, which is children and LGBTQ. Um, um, and that was sextile in Pluto. Okay, that was sextile in Pluto because Uranus was at the end of Taurus and Pluto was at the end of Cancer, going into Leo, which would be associated with people and genocide, femicide, unfortunately, killing of mothers. Um, and Neptune was somewhere in Libra, which is also a Venus sign. And that would be, unfortunately, the atrocities to do with the medicine. Um, now, yeah, there's just something we have to think about. Oh, here's the thing. Um, Very likely, most of the people that died in the concentration camps were not bankers. Okay, and they were probably, most of them probably were not doing usury, and probably most of them were just having, I don't know, a business, whether it was a Schulmacher or whatnot. And then they weren't allowed to work, and then they weren't allowed to go to shops and so on. Um, uh, so that's important to remember. And usually, people, when they take loans, it has to do with treating their teeth. And so, okay, it's for studies, for medical bills, and teeth medical bills are usually the ones where people need to, let's say, take a loan to treat their teeth, and there would be something to do with that because there was attempt to enslave people for their teeth treatment, which is happening again. Okay, so that they would take a loan and then they would have to repay that loan, and trying to make that as an excuse to traffic them, which is a part of how concentration camps began. Okay, it was forced labor, and they had to find an excuse that these people are to be enslaved. So they talked about usury. However, it's highly unlikely that that there were 6 million bankers. Okay, or even 6 million human traffickers, for the record. Um, so um, the golden teeth were basically taken from the people and loans are usually taken from